This is Dirshu Mishna Berurah as we begin Baruch Hashem, Chelek Sheni of Mishna Berurah. Unfortunately, we did not conclude, or I did not conclude in the Shiurim Chelek Rishon, but let's try to keep up to date by skipping a little bit to Siman Kof Chav Chas. Dinei Nisias Kabayim V'izeh Dvarim Paislim B'Kayin. The halachas of Nisias Kapayim and the entities, the different items that passel a kain. Halachas which perhaps aren't so relevant on a day-to-day basis, as we do not dochen here in the Chutz La'aretz daily. Of course, in Eretz Yisrael, number one, they do. And b'siyata d'shemaya, to begin these halachas on Chol HaMoed Pesach, they'll be relevant in a few days with the last days of Yontif, as all Ashkenazim dochen on Yontif. And we begin with the Bechaber and Sif Aleph that teaches us. Rule number one, you need a minyan. Number two, the Kayahanim are part of that 10 people minyan. Says the Ramah, even with other Kayahanim, Barak Basic Subis, the Zar Iver Base, it's an Isser Daraisa, Tais Barak Okisla, the Adi Ma Isser Yesh Bizar Ha'ila, but Taisus doesn't understand, or Taisus quotes that the Re is unsure of what is the Isser. So let's dive right into the Mishnah Berurah Sivkot and Aleph, which Mishnah Berurah says ain't V'dina b'chol davar kol shvar le'el b'simin nun hey leinin kaddish. All the halachas of kaddish, all the halachas of davar mishal b'kedusha are the same. Ayin sham Mishnah Berurah Sivkot al Gimel mashik v'san shipri megadim v'sabdin yashin imitzarif. And we'll see the Dirshu in a moment. Will remind us what the Mishnah Berurah there in Siman nun hey quoted from the Pri Megadim. Some say there's only dachening if you have a sefer Torah. Cholkin al zeh argues on this, and we know that the klal in Mishnah Berurah is that whenever he throws us that aval here, he's calling El Yastamid El Yazuta Prichadish Magibairim, and he's telling us that it's kamat kol achrayim. The klal is the aval is usually the psak halachos. You do not need a sefer Torah. Yesh Aimrim continues the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishabav Amar Kayanani Naman Lisa Kabav. We believe in Mechena Minhag, and such is the minhag. So before we go into Sif Kata Beis, let's just scroll up for a moment and see the Dirshu, which the Dirshu reminds us that what did the Mishnah Berurah and Sif Katan Lamed Gimel said b'shem the Pri Megadim, that this is telling the two opinions that's brought in the Bir Halacha. What is the reason that we need 10 people for dochening? According to the reasoning, that the reason is davar shebekdusha, that a sleeping person is mitzaref. But according to the reason that says that it's gzeir shava mikdashti b'seich b'nei Yisrael, then a sleeping person would not combine. And because of you need the pirsum, you need the 10 people being there, that it's public matter, v'yashin eina b'chlal is not included. Taz and Chadash argue, and they hold that a yashin is not mitzaref. So what's halacha l'maisa? So first of all, we just saw something incredible hidden in these beautiful words of Dirshu. He's quoting us the Bir Halacha, which you don't necessarily always see, that there are two reasons that you need 10 people for dachening. Number one, it's a regular davar shebekdusha. Number two is that it's a higher level, perhaps not a higher level in din necessarily, but higher level in pirsum. V'niktashti b'toch b'nei Yisrael. Halacha l'maisa, the Mishmur over there writes the chatchila. Wake him up. I'll call upon him. If he's dozing, then it's going to be okay. What's the reason for the necessity of a sefer Torah? So Dirshu number 2 over here quotes from the Shut Chikrei Leif, that since we explained that the Kahanim Ha'ilin Lisa Kapeim B'Duchen, and what was the Duchen? The Duchen was the platform in front of the Eichel which had the Sefer Torah. So it's a mashma that integral ingredient in Duchening is the Sefer Torah. So how can you argue? So those that argue say, no, the Gemara is just telling you the Lashon because that's where the Kahanim were Duchen. Just telling you a story. That's where the platform was, but not necessarily does it mean that you need the Sefer Torah. And Dirshu continues over here. He quotes the Buchacha, the Lamaisa, the Lashon of La Lois L'Duchen is Meduyak. That Lamaisa, so now it's another detail. The Buchacha says that it's better to go on a higher place from the regular floor. La'alois, you should go up. Similar to the Kayanim in the Beis HaMikdash, Pri Megadim says the minhag is that they stand on the steps of the Aron Kodesh, and of course it has to do with each particular of the shul, but in a scenario in which one is able, perhaps one's building a shul, then we see that there is a maila in having that elevated area in front of in front of the Aron Kodesh for the Kehanim to stand on by Dochening. And this is one of those things that sometimes one would make light of. Oh, why is there a stage in front of the Aron? And maybe someone might think that it's not the most from of reasons. And we see, no, everything in Klal Yisrael is, of course, for precise reasons. And we continue with Mishnah Berurah Sivkot and Beis Mea Minyan Lafisha Kahanim Gam Kein Bechlal Bracha. The Kahanim also get the brachas. They're part of the Minyan. Midechsev Ani Avarachem Kolaymar Likoyahanim Vafilu Im Ruben Koyahanim. Even if the majority are Koyahanim, Gam Kein Shaber Dami, it's still okay. Kivin Diyeshal Kopanim Yisrael Echot Shiyane Omin Achar Berachas Koyahanim. But you need that one Yisrael. So you could have 9 Koyahanim. That would be enough as long as you have one Yisrael. Basically, Mirz Hashem, we will get there. Ve'in Lazar, and we continue Mishnah Berurah Sivkot Gimel, in which he comments on the Ramah that said that a Zari non-Kayin cannot go up and Dochen. What is the reason? As the pasuk says, "Kaisavarchu atem you the kayan of Lazarim v'lavav b'chlal says," and I say to this the Raisa. I in the bach shekatz dafkim nesias kapayim. Vafilim lo birch b'tchila shekishanu k'toshes shel arim v'tzivanu b'chulu avalim yivarich beras kahanim b'loy nesias kapayim in over ba'asei. Which of course is that which we do. That when we say beras kahanim without dochening, which is what every single time, every single day you're a chutz la'aretz from during chazaras hashatz, then it doesn't have to be a kayin prima gadim masha the iser yish b'chol gam the startling prima gadim that the kayin has to be the one to daven for the tzibur to say the dochening here in the chutz la'aretz as well. Because we say magim barim da'ada amrit ta'ira atem lo zari amina rak miskavin lekavanas ha-mitzvah. Avli lo mechani klal lekavanas ha-mitzvah. That's not why you're doing it, rak. Shal yavar divrei chaveiro shechashvu shu kayin. Your friends thought you were a kain, v'amru ali l'dochen. Them shita dinkan iser asay klal ayin sham. Interesting. So if someone goes up to dochen because people tell him to, sounds like this Magen Gibayrim is saying you would not be a b'chlal v'isser. But near at least as the Mishnah Berurah, the chol zedavka l'mayt d'kaim l'on le'el. B'stim samach l'ftal mitzvah surichas kavana. Di lavachi no moter rak davka mecham v'ir shlosh mitzvah. If they have kavana explicitly not to do the mitzvah shem mecham klal l'bracha ayin bir halacha, which we've learned extensively over there, and the bir halacha here gets involved in mitzvah surichas kavana as well. Sivkot and dalid va'afilu ratzalaymer. What does this mean? Afilu neima da'aseina over azar k'shvarachim mekanim. Even if you're going to say that you're not over nasei when you docha with the Kehanim, maybe the Miyah, maybe when we're darshing the pasuk that you the Kehanim and not the Zarim, not the Yisraelim, is only when you're dochening by yourself. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Filoachi al Kopanim Asr Misham Abrach Mevarich B'Tchila Shekishem Sanu, and you're saying that you're a kain, so the brach itself is enough reason that you are Asr. Ta'avil Levatala to brach Levatala. Directly Kahanim Sifsa Atar Levarich Yisrael, because only the Kahanim receive this dictum, receive this commandment to blanch Kal Yisrael. So if Yisrael does it, you're being over in a brach Levatala. Bizarra Oilif Sivkot and Heim Lo Misham Brach Levatala Shal Kahanim Sifsa Atar Levarich Yisrael. Ve'efsher De'im, so the Ramah concluded with an Efsher Sivkot of Avra to Leimer. What does that mean? Says the Mishnah Berurah, just you don't have the extra Issa Daraisa of Yisrael dochening. Ladina eskim achreinim de'ein lachalik bazeh v'chol gavni over ba'asei, and that's of course Allah lamaisa that no Yisrael ever should be the one dochening, as we're saying that Allah lamaisa Medina. We're passing that there is an Issa Daraisa for Yisrael in all scenarios. Just for one moment, let's peek back at the Dirshus. Maybe not. Yeah, let's look at Dirshu number 6, in which he comments that for Yisrael to make the bracha is an issa deraisa because of bracha levatala. But Tama Davar says the Dirshu number 6 that the Kohanim themselves are not considered bracha levatala. The Noid Yehuda says, fascinating. Beer, what's the reason? Let's explain why it's not, and hopefully we'll understand this interesting Noid Yehuda that's saying that it is. What's the reason? The Merkavas Mishnah explains, Misham Shabrich Zikanim in Misham Askara Shem Shamayim Levatala. Shekikayu Pesukim B'Tayr, as we've seen many times, it has the din of saying Kriya Shema. It's not the din of a bracha, and therefore, even though you're saying the Shem Hashem, it wouldn't have the din of bracha Levatala. We'll stop over here, Baruch Hashem, back up to date. In B'siyat Shemaya, we'll try our best to keep up to date, learning a bit of halacha every single day.